Okay, hello. Late diagnosis autism testing, day 1, part 2. I feel a little raw and vulnerable. There was a psychiatrist, and then they asked if it was okay if a student sat in, and I was like, heck yeah, like I'm all about, I don't know, helping to facilitate like education, obviously making YouTube videos and bring awareness. And like it's interesting because, like being diagnosed at 56, and she like asked me like, why do you think it took so long? And she said, yeah, like traditionally, females are better at masking, and just the era I grew up in, there's a lot of like forced compliance for behavior, and it's easier to get into the habit of masking and not being seen. So like even just from this talk with her, I'm pretty certain I'm autistic. Like a lot of the stuff that I was certain going in, but like I said, I want the official diagnosis for many reasons. One of them is also to stop beating up on myself, like to allow myself to seek accommodations and not be so hard on myself, and to understand myself better. And but yeah, a lot of the things that I said, she's like, yeah, that's a sign of autism. I'll bring up 2 of them, and like just being really vulnerable here. Like I unmasked with her, which is, for me, unmasking looks like, because autistic people don't filter, it looks like a very deep feeling person with, a lot of heightened emotions. I've done free spirit in that a program I've talked about on here before. I've learned how to regulate my emotions where I don't feel like I get completely dysregulated, but I tend to cry a little bit, like even about happy things. I told her, I'm like, oh my God, holy, thank you for the validation. Because like I would go into my old trauma therapist, and I would be talking about something I felt really happy about. And I would be like, and I'm like, why? Why do I do this? Like, I'm happy. Why am I crying, And my therapist was like, yeah, I don't know, tears of joy. But she said that was a sign of autism. That, because she said we don't filter stimuli. So even really joyous things can feel overwhelming for us, So, yeah, a lot of validation. And then another thing that I said, like thinking back to my childhood, she asked if my siblings would probably, like, what do you think they would say, like, about, was I able to calm down or something? I can't remember. And I said, oh, it's awful to say, and here I'm sharing it with the world, but, this is how we overcome stigmas and we understand things. But I said, like, to regulate, and when I was overwhelmed, I would go in my room and bang my head on the wall, like that. And she said that is another she's like, oh God, if they only knew, like, again, feeling very, very raw and vulnerable, like if they only knew. That was a big telltale sign of autism, so like living 56 years with, something that I don't really have control over. It's something I was born with. And then, like having so much shame, like I was shameful telling her, and here I am telling whoever's watching this. But, like to give like the former little me compassion, like she was just feeling so much, and there was no, she didn't know how to regulate, and that's what she did, and like, she told me unmasking autism. I took a picture. I don't know if I can share in the comments. I took a picture of her desk, like a desk she had with a lot of really great books on autism. She said that Unmasking Autism was a great book. But like, so people know, like, we can mask so that we appear more like a neurotypical person. But to understand, when someone wears a mask, it takes a lot of energy. So we're already filtering so much data, so much stimuli. And then on top of it, we're having to suppress our reaction to the stimuli. You know, we're not allowed to stim. We look weird, you know, like I do my hands a lot. I use my hands a lot. I told her I see people watching my hands and then it makes me self-conscious. So I have to stop. That's part of my brain's metabolizing. You know, it's part of me regulating the, you know, the filtering. So, you know, like, and then we get like shamed for our behaviors. And then, you know, we get overwhelmed and start banging our heads when we're kids, you know? So, okay. So enough of all that. She was awesome, an awesome psychiatrist, made me feel so seen, so comfortable, just extremely validating. Very good experience. And I tore off the mask and showed her myself, you know, like not everyone gets to see that. So I just wanted to share some of the tests. So the process is similar to my daughter's. It's actually a little less pages. She did have one that was someone else doing an assessment of my childhood behaviors, but I don't have someone to do that. So, because I'm estranged from my family because there was a lot of bullying going on, you know, and I can understand I was probably different than them, but I got abused for it. So I don't talk to them. So if you're watching, peace out. No grudges. I just won't connect to people that mistreat me. So anyways, there is some testing stuff I want to read and show a little bit. And it has, the psychiatrist even said, oh, I want to talk about like ESP too, because I talked to her a little bit about that. Some of the testing is like a little less than my daughter's, like a little less packets. It was like amazing that I got in because it was almost a 2-year wait and the call dropped. And so I had to call back to make my appointment. And I got a different girl who was sweet. We just clicked. And right when she went in to make my appointment, just miraculously, she's like, this never happens. No one misses these appointments, you know, because you have to wait so long to get in. And they don't even have a waiting list. You have to call to see if there's ever cancellations, and it's very hard to get one. But one like popped into their portal right when so it was a blessing that first call dropped. So she's like, hey, can you get in like next Tuesday? And I'm like, yeah, I'm there, you know? And so then today also someone fell out. So like I get the actual day-long testing on this Thursday. She's like, yeah, it was just a fluke. Something opened up. And 2, with my insurance, I'm already pre-authorized. She said usually they have to wait at least 2 weeks to get authorization, but I was already all pre-approved. So I go in for the testing. So, you know, the testing is, it's from 9 to 4. So it's the whole day with an hour lunch, just so you know what to expect. And the student told me, like, because my battery's low, it's gonna go out. The student told me that it's more like hands-on than, like, today was like a lot of history talking, like, you know, questions about how I handle stimuli and that, just like things that I've noticed in my life and stuff. And so she said the testing is more like hands-on stuff and, you know, questioning. But all right, so I want to share with you the paperwork. So this is the what is it called? Social Responsiveness Scale, 2nd edition. It's a CRS2 form. This is the adult self-reporting. It's got 65 questions. I'll just pull out some random ones. First one is, am I much more comfortable in social situations or by myself? Number 10 is, I take things too literally, and because of that, I misinterpret the intended meaning of parts of conversations. 11, I have good self-confidence. 60, other people think I am emotionally distant and do not show my feelings. 63, my way of greeting another person is unusual. Okay, so that's that first form. Sorry for the self-recording. Let's see. So there's that form with 65. Then there's a brief 2A self-report form that is, just want to share so you know what you're up against. 70 questions. This, I'll just, again, I have a messy closet. Oh, by the way, I'm getting tested for ADHD and autism. And some of the symptoms can be comorbid, and sometimes you can have both. I forget what I am doing in the middle of things. I misjudge how difficult or easy tasks will be. People say that I'm easily distracted. These sound like a lot of ADHD stuff, but I guess it could be autism too. I don't know. I have trouble organizing work. Okay, then we have a self-report childhood symptoms. I failed to give close attention to details and make careless mistakes in my work or other activities. I fidgeted with my hands or feet or squirmed in seat. What was I just saying about? So that one is self-reporting childhood symptoms 20, self-report current system symptoms 30 questions. I'll pull random from that too. Have difficulty organizing tasks and activities. I am on the go or act as if I'm driven by a motor. Talk excessively in social situations. It's funny, I'm an either or, so I think I do have both. I'm either like too quiet or all right, and that was it for the self-reporting. Now this is for someone close to me. My daughters are going to do the meta linguistics profile. So this is for someone else to fill out about me. 30 questions, pulling random questions again. Understanding idiomatic, I don't know how to say that, expressions such as she is pulling my leg. Understands and reacts as expected to jokes. Predicts emotional reactions of characters in stories, novels, and plays. Participates easily and fluently in group conversations and discussions. And then there's the social responsiveness scale, which was also a form that was given for self-reporting, but this is for other reporting on you, someone else's perception of you. 65 questions long. The last one is stares or gazes off into space. I recognize my friend just the other day just was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm fine." Yeah, a little disassociation. Has repetitive, odd behaviors. Is regarded by others as odd or weird. It's gonna be fun unmasking. I told my daughter, sorry, I'll finish on that thought in a second. Or maybe I won't, because I might forget. I'm gonna lean hard onto this diagnosis. I am. I'm gonna let it hold me like a big ass crutch. I've lived 56 years without being validated, with being shamed, bullied, minimized, criticized, having expectations that were beyond my capabilities put onto me. And I am going to lean hard on this. I'm going to really enjoy unmasking and giving myself compassion and, accommodating myself and leaning on it. No, sorry, I can't do that. I'm autistic. It's overwhelming for me. I'm going to lean on it. So, whether you think that's right or wrong, your opinion, my life, right? Brief 2A, behavior rating inventory, adult version. This is, God, my poor kids. And we got to do this by Thursday, but they said it's okay if we don't finish it all because it was like a quick, it was a miracle I got in so quick. So this is 70 questions. Last question is, has problems completing his or her work. Question 46 is, has trouble getting started on tasks. Question 13 is, has trouble getting ready for the day. So that's that. And then the last one for other reporting is the BAARS. I'm not sure what that, I think that's 5 numeral, Roman numeral, other report, current symptoms. And this is 30 questions long. Number 1, fails to give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes in work or other activities. See, sometimes I have see everything, too much hyper focus to details. But then other times I'm like, so that's why I think it's a both ADHD. And so that's the inattention section. I think it's both ADHD and autism. And then the hyperactivity, fidgets with hands or feet, squirms in seat, has difficulty engaging in leisure activities quietly. All right, so that's it. I go Thursday for the long testing, and yeah, here we go. And I forgot what else I was gonna say. Yeah, I go Thursday for that, and I freaking forget. I'll remember as soon as I sign off. But oh well, so that's what testing for autism journey looks like. And I'll share as I progress more through the testing process, just so others can see what it looks like. All right, peace out.